My beloved child, this truth is not to break you, but to free your soul at last. I didn't want you to find out this way. I held this in my spirit for as long as God allowed me. I stood between you and the pain. I wrapped this truth in silence not to deceive you, but to protect you. Because sometimes the truth arrives too soon and wounds a heart that is still healing. But today, yes, today, heaven has shifted. The gate of divine timing has opened. And the permission has been granted. I, Archangel Michael, have been told to speak. Not with judgment. Not with vengeance. But with love that weeps when you've been wounded and no one told you. The one you trusted most, the one who looked you in the eyes with gentleness, had a moment you never saw. A moment when their loyalty turned sideways. And the weight of that betrayal still echoes in heaven's courts. But listen closely, beloved, this is not a message of bitterness. This is not for your anger. This is for your freedom. Because what you didn't know has been holding you back. What you couldn't see has been draining your spirit. God didn't allow you to find out earlier, because your heart would have shattered. But now you are stronger. Now your soul has roots. And so I bring this truth not to destroy you, but to deliver you. There is something you need to know not because of what they did, but because of what you are about to do. Your destiny is about to unlock. And this hidden weight, this quiet deception, must be exposed, not for revenge, but so your wings can finally stretch without chains. You see, heaven watches every silent transaction. The messages you never saw. The words spoken behind closed doors. The envy masked as love. And even though it felt like your circle was safe, even though you gave them everything, they gave someone else a version of you that wasn't true. They painted you in shadows while smiling in your light. But God has seen. And I, Michael, have carried this burden in silence, standing over you as you cried over confusion you couldn't name. You thought something was wrong with you. But no, child. You were being lied about in secret. And now, heaven wants you to know, not to sink, but to soar. Not to hate, but to heal. God says, you don't need to chase the truth, it is coming to you. You don't need to confront, because I will reveal. And when I reveal, no one will be able to hide behind charm or pretend with tears. Because when I uncover, I do so with precision. I remove every mask. I shift every illusion. And I restore my chosen ones with clarity. This is your clarity. The person you trusted betrayed your presence, not because you were weak, but because your light frightened their darkness. Your purity convicted their manipulation. And rather than rise with you, they chose to speak against you. But the winds are shifting now. And your name is being rewritten in honor. Michael says, I wept when I saw the weight you carried, the self-doubt you wrestled with, all because of their hidden act. I saw you question your value. I saw you second-guess your kindness. But beloved, you were never the problem. They simply couldn't hold the beauty of what you carried. And now that heaven is lifting the veil, you will no longer walk in confusion. This revelation will sting for a moment, but it will save your lifetime. You sat beside them and shared your laughter, your thoughts, your fears. You let them see the parts of you that no one else ever touched. You defended them even when others doubted. You protected their reputation even when yours was left wide open. You trusted not because you were naive, but because your heart believed in light. You believed loyalty was sacred. And for a time, it was. Until that moment, the moment they chose secrecy over sincerity. And I, Archangel Michael, stood still in that hour, knowing what I knew, yet unable to speak it until now. Because some truths must wait until the heart is ready to hear without breaking, and the soul is strong enough to receive without crumbling. God said, "Let them walk a little further. Let them come through the fire. Let them build their spirit in the quiet. Because when I show them what was done, I will also show them who they are, and they must be ready to walk in victory, not vengeance. That time is now. You are not weak anymore. You are not asking, 'Why me?' anymore. You have touched the edge of your purpose, and now you must fly with nothing holding your wings. And beloved, this betrayal, this hidden thing, they thought would never come to light? It is not your anchor anymore. It is your release. I watched as they whispered about you, not realizing heaven was listening. I watched as they said your name without honor, thinking no consequence would follow. But what they forgot is that God protects those who love purely. Heaven keeps record of every seed of kindness, every silent prayer, every tear you never told anyone about. They were not just disloyal, they were spiritually reckless with your trust. They played with something sacred, your love. And now, not in wrath, not in destruction, but in divine justice, the veil is being lifted. You deserve to know. You deserve to walk with eyes wide open. God says, "You gave them chances. I gave them time. You extended mercy. I extended grace. But still, they used your silence as a shield for their secrets. They thought they were hidden because you didn't react. But I was watching. And now, I am speaking. This is not to shatter you, it is to set you free. You will not chase them for answers. You will not argue to prove your worth. I, the Lord, am settling this matter. And I will expose only what you need to know to move forward with wisdom, not bitterness. Michael says, you have outgrown this pattern. What hurt you once can no longer hold you. The cycle is broken. The tie is undone. This person's actions may have been hidden in the natural, but they have been seen in the spirit. And I have kept record of your integrity. You kept showing up with a full heart, even after they started subtracting their loyalty behind your back. And for every tear you cried in private, a door is about to open in public. For every lie that was spoken against you in whispers, truth is about to thunder in your favor. You don't need to go back. You don't need to wish for closure from them. This is your closure. This message is heaven's release. It is God saying, what was done in darkness will not define you. What they tried to destroy will become your story of restoration. Beloved, don't carry their betrayal into your next chapter. Don't drag their silence into your purpose. Your heart was clean. Your love was real. And the fact that they couldn't value it is not your failure. It is their reflection. But now the mirror is up. Now the time has come. Now the light has found what was buried. And you are free. They never thought you'd find out. They moved in the shadows believing heaven wouldn't speak. They relied on your softness, thinking you'd never sense it. But your spirit began to feel it first. The conversations that felt different. The moments when their eyes couldn't meet yours. The way their presence grew quieter when your light grew louder. You asked yourself if you were imagining things. You blamed yourself, thinking maybe you had changed. But beloved, it wasn't you. It was the weight of their secret pressing against the atmosphere. And when a soul that's full of light is surrounded by hidden darkness, it begins to ache in ways that words can't explain. Archangel Michael says, that ache in your chest wasn't confusion, it was discernment. Your soul recognized the betrayal even before heaven gave you the language for it. God had to wait. He had to cover your ears until your heart was strong enough to survive the truth. Because when someone you love wounds you in silence, it's not just your trust that breaks, it's the timeline of your memory. You begin to question everything. Every moment, every hug, every prayer you shared with them. And God didn't want you to carry that torment too early. He wanted your strength to be rebuilt so that when this secret was released, it would not ruin you. It would reposition you. Michael says, the betrayal wasn't just a moment, it was a pattern. But you were so faithful, so loyal, so covered in light that you kept giving. You kept showing up. You kept carrying them spiritually even when they were emotionally slipping away. But now heaven has turned the page. I was instructed to guard you while the truth matured. But I can no longer. Stay silent. Because you are on the edge of your breakthrough, and what they did behind you cannot be allowed to follow you into where God is taking you. You cannot carry their deception into your destiny. God says, they thought they buried it deep enough. But nothing is hidden from me. And I did not allow them to destroy you. I allowed them to reveal themselves. This was never about punishing them, it was about preserving you. You are my chosen one. You are the vessel I am about to pour new oil into. And I refuse to let someone who doesn't honor your soul benefit from your next season. So I've stepped in. Not with wrath, but with revelation. And now I speak so that you may walk with clear eyes. You're not losing anything by letting go. You're not falling apart, you're being delivered. The pain you feel right now is not the end, it is the doorway. The shaking in your spirit is not confusion, it's transition. You are not stuck, you are shedding. Their mask has slipped, but your crown has stayed. And this is why you're still standing. Because God upheld you when no one else would. God shielded you from the impact of their choices. And now, the veil has lifted, not to shame you, but to awaken you. Michael says, you are not meant to live in the questions anymore. The message has been released. The secret has been broken. The spiritual chain has snapped. And now, beloved, you are free. Free to walk with your head high. Free to feel without apologizing. Free to no longer protect what wasn't protecting you. Heaven is not silent anymore. This message is your confirmation. This moment is your clarity. What they tried to hide, God is using to heal you. You are not broken. You are becoming. God says, I have watched you stand in the storm with no umbrella but my promise. I've seen you love people who were secretly undoing you behind your back. I've seen you forgive without apology and remain quiet while being misunderstood. But this betrayal, the one that came from the person you trusted most, is not a reflection of who you are. It's a revelation of who they chose to become. And I could no longer allow you to carry guilt for the love you gave. This message is not to shame you for what you missed. This message is to awaken you to what I've been protecting you from all along. The person you believed was for you was silently draining your strength. And now that your spirit has matured, I am pulling the veil. I am letting you see so that you can finally release. Archangel Michael speaks, the reason this betrayal was allowed to happen is not because you were weak, but because you were being positioned. Their secret was not your destruction. Their secret is your separation. A divine line has been drawn. And everything that is not aligned with your purpose is being removed with no explanation needed. You won't have to beg for closure. You won't need them to confess. You won't need their sorry to be whole. Heaven is giving you your closure. God is speaking your release. And I, Michael, have been assigned to seal it. They spoke to others when they should have spoken to you. They traded loyalty for convenience. They wore your trust like a coat, then handed it to someone else when it no longer fit their agenda. And still, you loved. Still, you hoped. Still, you tried to believe in them. And now, God honors you for that. Because where they failed in faithfulness, you remained faithful to your calling. And now the blessing will fall on you, not because you were perfect, but because you were pure. God says, I am restoring your name in the Spirit. I am cleansing your memory of the pain. I am rebuilding you from the inside out. And every place that their silence damaged, I am now filling with truth. The truth that you are enough. That your love was never wasted. That your effort did not go unseen. What they couldn't carry wasn't too much, it was too holy. And now I remove every soul tie, every invisible rope, every whisper of doubt they left behind. From this day forward, you walk untangled. You walk unstained. Michael continues, you are stepping into a season where you will no longer wonder what was said behind your back, because heaven will honor you in front of those who tried to erase you. The silence that wounded you will become the silence God fills with favor. You will not chase what broke you. You will not explain your way to peace. Peace is coming to you. You won't fight to be seen. You'll shine by simply standing still. Because heaven will now do what your loyalty tried to accomplish. Heaven will now reward what your heart could not defend. This message was sealed 3 weeks ago in the heavenlies. It was scheduled to reach you not when the pain first happened, but when your power was finally ready to handle it. You've crossed that threshold. You're stronger now. You're wiser now. And most of all, you're closer now to the door God has been preparing in secret. This betrayal was not the ending. This betrayal was the final unlocking. And what they thought would break you has only built the frame for what God is about to open next. They thought their silence would remain buried beneath time, but time belongs to God, and what is hidden in darkness cannot survive when heaven commands the light to rise. You were never blind, beloved, you were graced. You were not weak for believing them, you were chosen to love purely so heaven could record the purity of your heart while their intentions decayed in secret. And now, not as punishment, but as a sacred unveiling, Archangel Michael, am sent to lift what has been pressing against your chest like invisible weight. That person, the one you trusted most, betrayed you not with knives, but with whispers. Not with words you heard, but with actions you were never meant to see. But heaven saw them all. And God is no longer silent. God says, I was the one who closed your ears when the gossip started. I was the one who allowed confusion to delay you just long enough for your spirit to grow into discernment. Because if you had known everything too early, it would have destroyed your ability to believe in love again. But now, I show you not so you'll sink, but so you'll soar higher without apology. I show you not to hurt you, but to heal what their loyalty could never protect. They stood beside you but were never rooted in truth. And now, I have uprooted what could have poisoned your future. Michael says, you are no longer walking blindly. You are walking boldly. You are no longer tied by loyalty to what heaven has called expired. This chapter ends not with heartbreak, but with divine release. They spoke your name when you weren't listening, and now God is speaking your name in the throne room of heaven. Not to shame them, but to honor you. For every moment you covered them while they uncovered you, for every time you prayed for them while they planned without you, for every time you spoke life into them while they let others whisper death into your image, this is your restoration. God says, you have cried long enough. You've questioned your own spirit. You have stayed silent while your character was being tested behind your back. But no more. I am not asking you to fight for yourself. I'm asking you to watch me restore you publicly. I will deal with what was done. You just walk forward. You just breathe again. You just make space for new love, new peace, new favor, because this betrayal has no more power over your next season. It was only permitted to end what could not go with you. You must know, beloved, they were never your source. They were never your covering. And the reason this truth is being revealed now is because heaven is about to place something in your hands that cannot afford to be tainted by people who misuse access. God is elevating you. And elevation requires revelation. What they tried to hide, heaven is cleansing. What they tried to silence, heaven is singing. You will no longer grieve what you gave to someone who never protected it. You will no longer beg God for closure from someone who misused your presence. This message is your closure. This voice from heaven is your answer. This moment is your shift. Michael speaks finally, let this pain exit your spirit now. Let it fall away. Let it burn off like smoke rising from a fire that is no longer needed. You are not a victim. You are the victory. You are not broken by this, you are born from it. What they did will not define you, but what God is doing next will rewrite your story. There is no delay now. The weight is gone. The veil is torn. The secret has been revealed. And now, you are free. God says, I know the room where they spoke about you. I know the moment they chose silence when they should have stood for you. I was there when they watched you break, knowing full well they contributed to the fracture. But I didn't stop it, not because I didn't love you, but because I wanted you to see what I already knew. I wanted you to learn how to discern in silence. Because where you are going, discernment is your sword. And now, I'm replacing the grief they caused with the grace I've stored. The pain they left behind is no longer your shadow, it is your fuel. And you will no longer walk into rooms wondering who is for you. Because from this day forward, I will make it obvious. Michael says, you do not need revenge to be restored. Heaven's restoration does not operate through bitterness. It moves through purity. And beloved, you have remained pure. Even when you found out, you didn't retaliate. Even when your spirit began to awaken to the signs, you held your posture. You waited for heaven's timing. You waited for truth to breathe. And now it is here. The truth has landed. The veil is gone. And I'm standing here to say, you passed the test. You did not let their deception change your design. You stayed kind when it was easier to become cold. You kept your voice clean when the temptation to shout was strong. And because of that, the reward will be double. Not just new doors, but new discernment, new friendships, new clarity, new strength. God says, I'm removing the labels they placed on you when they thought no one was listening. I'm untying the invisible knots they tied around your name. And not only am I restoring your image in the earth, I'm restoring how you see yourself. Because for a moment, you questioned your own value. You wondered if you were too much, too trusting, too open, too soft. But no, child. You were just surrounded by people who were too small for the size of your soul. And I had to allow them to leave the stage before your spotlight came. Because what I am about to do through you cannot be polluted by silent envy. Michael continues, there is a moment coming, soon, when everything you were kept out of will begin to chase you. The rooms you thought you didn't belong in will start inviting you without explanation. The tables where you were once overlooked will now feel your absence and hunger for your presence. And the one who betrayed you? They will feel the distance, not out of your revenge, but out of God's redirection. You are no longer available to people who were never aligned. Your spirit has graduated. Your heart has outgrown the betrayal. And your name has been rewritten in glory. God says, this next chapter will not require you to explain the last one. You don't owe anyone a story. You don't owe anyone your side. I saw it. I recorded it. I am the witness. And I will be the one to bring justice, not through scandal, but through elevation. I will raise you in such a way that the ones who harmed you will have no choice but to honor you silently. They will speak your name with awe, not because you demanded it, but because I have marked it. I have chosen you. And I will not allow what they did to define how the world sees you next. Michael's final whisper for this part says, you are not just recovering, you are rising. This is no longer about what was done to you. This is about what God is doing through you. The pain has served its purpose. The betrayal has finished its sentence. Now begins the page where you are unshaken. You are unbothered. You are unavailable to the energy that once drained you. Because from this moment on, beloved, heaven goes before you. And nothing done behind your back can stop what's coming in front of you. God says, you've spent long nights asking why you were left in the dark. Why you could feel so much but know so little. Why you poured your heart into hands that quietly dropped you when no one was looking. I did not stay silent because I didn't care. I stayed silent because I needed the truth to meet you in the right season. And now, that season is here. You're no longer bound by the need to be understood by people who didn't even try. I am the one who understands you fully. I am the one who watched every tear, recorded every act of loyalty, and weighed the weight of your love. They didn't just betray you, they misused something holy. And that's why I'm the one bringing justice. Michael says, you did not imagine it. The energy shifted when you entered the room. Their eyes changed. Their tone shifted. And your spirit, so tender, so tuned, felt it before your mind could explain it. You stayed, hoping it would pass. You gave more, hoping it would fix. But beloved, you were never meant to fix what was false. You were meant to walk away when your peace began to bleed. And yet, heaven never blamed you for staying. Because even in that, your love reflected heaven's mercy. You are not foolish. You are faithful. And that kind of heart is the rarest kind. God says, they tried to rewrite your story without your permission, but I'm the author. They tried to control the narrative in rooms you couldn't enter, but I sit on the highest throne. And now I'm rewriting what they tried to reduce. I'm exalting what they tried to erase. The one they talked about is the one I'm about to bless. And you won't need to say a word. Your fruit will speak. Your growth will speak. Your joy, undeniable joy, will shout louder than any gossip ever could. You don't have to clear your name, child. I am clearing the atmosphere. Michael continues, I stood between you and the full impact of what was done. I shielded your soul in the middle of nights, when the grief could have drowned you. I redirected your focus when the pain tried to suffocate your faith. And now, I am standing in celebration, not of what they did, but of what you didn't do. You didn't retaliate. You didn't become like them. You didn't curse what broke you. Instead, you remained. You stayed rooted. You stayed kind. And now, beloved, the blessing will match the battle. The favor will match the fire. God says, you are about to walk into something you never had to compete for. A door that won't require performance. A space that welcomes all of you, flaws, fire, and faith. You are not moving into recovery. You are moving into royalty. And those who mishandled you will see it. Not through shame, but through silence. They will see the one they disrespected being honored by heaven. And you will feel no need to gloat. Because by then, peace will have replaced every ounce of pain. Michael whispers, your crown is not delayed. It was only being shaped. And now it fits. Your journey was not a mistake, it was refinement. What they tried to destroy only deepened your anointing. And now, no shadow of betrayal will follow you into what's coming. You are being elevated, not as payback, but as proof that purity still wins. You are the living evidence that hearts like yours are seen, protected, and rewarded. God says, I do not bring this to your attention to reopen wounds, I bring it to complete the healing. There is something sacred about knowing the truth at the right time. And this is the right time. Not a second too soon. Not a second too late. You were not ready then, but you are ready now. You will not carry bitterness into this new season. You will carry wisdom. You will not walk in pain, you will walk in power. Because what they did behind your back, I am using as the foundation beneath your feet. What they tried to ruin, I am using to reveal who you really are. You are not a broken person. You are my masterpiece in motion. And no betrayal. No silence, no lie, no secret, can erase what I have written in heaven about you. Michael says, the reason this betrayal couldn't destroy you is because your spirit was too deeply anchored in truth. And now, heaven is surrounding you with clarity. With healing. With closure. This message is not the end, it is the bridge. The bridge between where you've been and where you're going. And on this bridge, you must not carry their shadows. You must not carry the weight of unanswered questions. You must walk freely. Because the greatest justice is not watching them suffer, it's watching yourself thrive without them. That is the victory of the divine. God continues, the secret they tried to keep from you was not just about what they did, it was about who you are. Because your presence disturbed their comfort. Your anointing convicted their compromise. And instead of rising to meet you in purity, they chose to remain in hiding. But I have chosen to expose, not to humiliate, but to elevate. You cannot rise in what you don't know. So I have allowed you to see clearly, so you may climb without fear. This is your release. This is your rise. And now, the fire of my spirit burns away every remnant of confusion, every seed of doubt, every whisper of betrayal. You are being cleansed, fully. Michael says, let the weight fall. Let the questions fade. Let the forgiveness flow, not for them, but for you. Because nothing they did can keep you from what heaven has scheduled. They did not cancel your calling. They only confirmed your assignment. Because when hell attacks this hard, it's only because heaven is about to pour. And beloved, you are next in line for the outpour. You are the one God is lifting now, not quietly, but unmistakably. The time for hiding is over. The season of tears is shifting. Now begins the season of overflow. God speaks one final time, you are walking into spaces where no betrayal can follow. You are stepping into rooms where loyalty is not demanded, it is divinely aligned. You will meet people who pour into you as you pour. You will find healing in places that once held harm. And when you tell your story, you will not tell it with pain, you will tell it with peace. Because the story didn't end with their betrayal, it ended with my breakthrough. And this is my promise: no weapon formed behind your back will prosper in front of your future. I am the God who redeems. And I have redeemed this fully. Michael ends with these words: your tears were not wasted. Your silence was not weakness. Your loyalty was not a mistake. And now, your reward will be weighty. Your name is still pure. Your calling is still real. And your story, though bruised, has become beautiful. This secret is no longer a wound. It is now a witness. The light is shining. The truth is free. And you, beloved, you are finally free too. There is something sacred about survival. There is something divine in the fact that you are still standing. Still breathing. Still believing in love, even after what was done to you. And this part of the message, beloved, is no longer about the person who betrayed you. It is about you. About what you didn't lose. About what you carried when no one noticed. About what God preserved inside you while the world tried to pull it apart. You see, you didn't just endure the betrayal, you transcended it. You rose above it without losing your heart. And that kind of rising is heaven's favorite miracle. God says, when they broke the agreement, I did not cancel the assignment. When they left you uncovered, I became your covering. When they questioned your worth, I stamped my seal upon your identity. And now, the tables are turning. Not by your hands, but by my hands. This is the part where you start to see the fullness of what I was building in secret. This is the part where the vision becomes clear. The heartbreak was a hallway. But now you're standing at a door. And I am opening it, not just to bless you, but to publicly restore everything that was damaged in private. Michael says, there are people who will act confused about your elevation. Let them be confused. They didn't know what you survived. They didn't see the weight you carried. They didn't hear the prayers you whispered when you were all alone. But I did. I was there when you were misunderstood, misrepresented, and mishandled. I was there when you questioned why love felt like loneliness. And now, I'm still here, not with sorrow, but with scrolls of victory. I've seen your beginning. I've seen your crushing. And now I declare your crowning. The same eyes that overlooked you will see you exalted. God says, no more shrinking. No more explaining. No more giving access to hearts that don't honor yours. The new thing I'm doing will require a stronger version of your boundaries. A bolder version of your voice. A clearer version of your joy. And it starts now. Your peace is no longer up for negotiation. Your identity is no longer built on how they saw you. You are not who they broke, you are who I rebuilt. And every step forward from this moment will be a prophetic declaration: I survived, I learned, I let go, and I rose anyway. Michael continues, this is your release not just from the person, but from the pattern. From the feeling of needing to prove your purity. From the cycle of rescuing those who never wanted to be healed. From the addiction of overgiving to those who only took. That season is over. Heaven has shifted you into alignment. And in this alignment, the people who enter your life will carry divine agreement. They will pour into you as you pour. They will speak your name in light, not in silence. They will not compete with your light, they will protect it. God ends this part with a whisper: you didn't just survive the betrayal. You outlived it. And now, you are about to outshine it. You are going to walk into blessings that carry no trace of pain. You are going to find yourself laughing again without fear of the next heartbreak. You are going to breathe deeply and realize, it doesn't hurt anymore. The wound is closed. The grief has faded. The secret has been exposed. And now, what remains, is glory. My glory. And it rests upon you now, my beloved. This is where the oil begins to flow, where the ashes of what they tried to hide become the platform for what God is about to show. This is where silence turns into clarity, where confusion becomes peace, where betrayal becomes the background of your becoming. Beloved, what was done behind your back no longer has access to your future. What was whispered in corners will now be washed by rivers of favor. What was hidden to hurt you has now been revealed to lift you. Archangel Michael says, I held the truth until you were strong enough to carry it with grace and not with grief. And now that your spirit is awake, your healing is no longer delayed. You are entering the season where the truth doesn't break you, it builds you. God says, let them go. Let the pain breathe its final breath. You do not need to understand the reason they did it. Their why will not change your worth. Their silence will not stop your song. And their betrayal will not block your blessing. I watched it all. I kept record of the moments they should have defended you but disappeared. I noted the hours they spoke well of you in your face and ill of you behind your back. But even then, I used it. I took it, shaped it, pressed it, refined it, and placed it under your feet. What once was your heartache is now the foundation of your elevation. You will not fall. You will not fold. You will not stay in their shadow. You are mine. Michael continues, everything about this moment has been holy. Even the pain, even the delay, even the tears. All of it was a sacred arrangement that led to this now. This moment of rising. This confirmation that the Spirit of God never left your side. And now I, Michael, stand beside you again, not holding back truth, but watching you rise because of it. The truth you were once too fragile to hear is now the fire behind your roar. And what was hidden is no longer your burden. It is your badge. Not of shame, but of survival. Not of loss, but of glory. God says, there are people who will try to return with apologies when they see what I'm about to do. Bless them, but don't let them back into sacred space. You are not bitter, you are better. But better does not mean bound to be available again. I didn't bring this to the surface so you would fight to repair what heaven has already removed. I brought this truth to light so that you could finally be light again. You do not need their validation. You do not need their approval. I approve of you. And my approval is enough to carry you through every door, every connection, every calling that now awaits. Michael says, it is done. What needed to be revealed has been spoken. What was stealing your clarity has now been crushed under truth. What they tried to bury has now resurrected into power. You have grown past the version of yourself that begged for answers. You are now the version who walks in alignment. And in this alignment, you will be trusted with things others could never carry. The betrayal was a test. Your reaction was your testimony. And your silence was your strength. Heaven is proud. I am proud. The fire didn't burn you, it branded you. You carry the seal of the risen. God's final words echo gently, now go. Go and don't look back. The people who betrayed you have no part in your next chapter. I will write that chapter myself. And when others read it, they won't see your pain. They will see my glory. The risen. God's final words echo gently, now go. Go and don't look back. The people who betrayed you have no part in your next chapter. I will write that chapter myself. And when others read it, they won't see your pain, they will see my glory written through you. I am not done. I'm just getting started. And your story, my child, will be a river of healing for many who never thought they could survive what you did. You are more than the betrayal. You are the one I trusted with truth. And now, you will walk in truth, with fire, with peace, and with nothing left to prove. You've been asking, why did this happen to me? And heaven has been whispering, because you were strong enough to survive it. You were not chosen for the pain. You were chosen for the purpose that would rise out of it. You were not selected for betrayal, you were selected for breakthrough. And sometimes, beloved, God allows the blade to fall not because you deserved the cut, but because what was inside you could only be released through pressure. You see, their betrayal was not the end of your story, it was the beginning of the sacred becoming. And I, Archangel Michael, have watched you rise through nights of silence and mornings of doubt, holding the pieces of a heart that deserved better, and yet still offering love to a world that gave you wounds. God says, I gave you insight, not to punish you, but to preserve you. I opened your eyes, not to break you, but to prepare you. Because the blessing I am releasing now requires clarity. It requires you to walk without ties to people who were never assigned to your destiny. Yes, they were present in your past, but they do not belong in your future. This is not about revenge. This is about release. You have held on long enough. You have replayed it in your mind long enough. You have questioned yourself for too many nights. And now I say, be free. Be clean of the shadow of their deception. Be whole again, not because they fixed it, but because I healed it. Michael speaks gently now, beloved, you are not here by accident. This message didn't find you randomly. This was heaven's appointment. You are not just hearing words, you are being restored in real time. Your soul is catching up with the truth that heaven already decided. You are worthy of love that doesn't hide. You are worthy of friendships that don't shift in shadows. You are worthy of peace that doesn't have to be earned through pain. The betrayal was not a curse, it was a holy clearing. God removed who you didn't even realize was blocking the next blessing. And now the road is clear. God says, I'm removing the stain of shame from your memory. I'm removing the habit of overthinking. I'm silencing the voice that keeps asking what you could have done differently. The truth is, you did more than enough. You stayed longer than you should have. You gave more than they deserved. You prayed harder than they knew. And I counted every moment. And now, my child, it's my turn to give. Watch me now. Watch me restore you in places they thought they damaged. Watch me favor you in rooms they tried to keep you out of. Watch me send people who recognize your soul, not just your usefulness. Michael continues, you will smile again, not because the pain is forgotten, but because healing has finally become louder than history. You will trust again, not because everyone deserves it, but because your spirit is no longer trapped in fear. You are stepping into days where peace is natural, where love is soft again, where you are not holding your breath waiting for the next disappointment. That season is over. I protected your name in the spirit when they tried to harm it. And now, I will escort your name into places your pain never imagined. God finishes this chapter with thunderous stillness. You didn't just survive what they did behind your back, you outgrew it. You didn't just make it through, you mastered the art of rising without bitterness. And now, heaven crowns you not as a victim, but as a vessel. The secret is no longer yours to carry. It was never your burden. I allowed you to hear it because I trusted you to transform through it. And now, I open the gates. Go forward. This is the season of reward. Of rest. Of restoration. And no shadow of the past can follow you here. You've cried in silence for a long time, not because you were weak, but because you didn't want anyone else to carry your storm. You kept smiling while hiding the questions that never stopped screaming inside. And yet, beloved, you never gave up. You kept walking even when the road beneath your feet was cracked by the weight of disappointment. And heaven noticed. I, Archangel Michael, saw every step you took when no one clapped, when no one understood, when no one stayed. And now I come not only to reveal, but to rebuild what you thought could never be whole again. I do not just bring the truth, I bring the turning point. God says, my child, there's nothing wrong with your love. There's nothing wrong with your heart. What they did behind your back had nothing to do with your value. It was never about you being unworthy. It was about them being unready for the kind of light you carried. And rather than rising with you, they hid from your glow. But I did not hide. I was with you even in the silence. And I saw every injustice. And I have not forgotten a single moment. And now, I repay, not with bitterness, but with beauty. Not with revenge, but with restoration. You are not entering another chapter. You are entering your recompense. Michael says, you stayed quiet while they misunderstood you. You kept giving while they kept withholding. You protected them while they exposed you in ways you never deserved. And you still prayed for their peace. And now, I tell you with heaven's full authority, you have passed the test. Not because you didn't feel the fire, but because you didn't become the fire. You didn't let betrayal become your identity. You remained soft in a world that tried to make you hard. And that softness is your strength. That softness is what heaven is about to crown. God continues, I'm restoring not only your peace, but your reputation. I'm healing the parts of your story that no one knew were hurting. I'm reaching into memories that still make your chest tighten and releasing you from the emotional echo. You will no longer flinch at the thought of what they did. You will no longer lower your head at the memory of who left. From today, you walk in full permission to be whole again. They don't get to define your next moment. I do. And what I've declared over you is joy, restoration, freedom. Michael gently speaks, from this moment forward, the weight they left you with is no longer yours to carry. The questions, the wondering, the quiet comparisons. They are breaking now. You are not too late. You are not behind. You are not damaged. You are divinely becoming. Every delay was protection. Every betrayal was redirection. And every secret that was kept from you was simply waiting for heaven's timing. And heaven's timing has arrived. That's why this message found you today, not to reopen pain, but to close the wound with fire and grace. God's final whisper resounds, I am making all things new. I'm rewriting the ending they tried to steal. And the next chapter will be written in light, not sorrow. It will be filled with the kind of love that doesn't compete, doesn't hide, and doesn't run. It will be filled with peace that doesn't demand silence and joy that doesn't disappear in the dark. You are free now. Not because they fixed what they broke, but because I restored what you surrendered. And that, my child, is why you will smile again. Because this time, it will be real. There are moments in life when silence is not punishment, but preservation. When heaven is quiet not because it is distant, but because it is defending you in secret. You were never abandoned, beloved. You were shielded. God saw what you didn't see. He heard what you weren't meant to hear. And while they smiled in front of you and plotted behind you, angels stood between their hands and your destiny. This is why what was meant to break you only bruised you. This is why you never completely fell. Because I, Archangel Michael, was standing over the fire with orders from heaven to not let it consume you. I didn't stop the pain, but I controlled its reach. And now, that season has expired. Now, you are not just protected, you are being elevated beyond their reach. God says, my justice does not always look like their consequences. Sometimes, my justice looks like your favor. Sometimes it looks like me opening doors for you that they tried to keep closed. Sometimes it looks like me making your name rise in places they tried to bury it. This is not revenge, this is reversal. And what they thought they delayed, I am now releasing without their permission. Your tears have spoken louder than their actions. Your purity has shaken the heavens. Your silence became your sacrifice. And now I say to you, watch what I do with the ashes they left you with. I will build you from them. I will bless you through them. Michael continues, you never needed the whole world to believe you. You just needed heaven to speak for you. And heaven has. That's why you've been feeling the shift. That's why people are being removed quietly. That's why doors are closing even before you knock. It's not rejection, it's realignment. God is not punishing you, He is positioning you. The space He's taking you to is too holy to be polluted by hearts that were never clean. That's why the truth had to come out. Not to crush you, but to cleanse the air around your name. They hid secrets. God hid you. And now, God is revealing both, for your protection and their exposure. God speaks again, you don't need to wait for their apology. I have already healed what they damaged. And I am giving you something far greater than closure, I'm giving you clarity. You will no longer cry over what you lost. Because what you're about to gain will make loss feel like a lie. You will look back not with regret, but with reverence. Because even the betrayal was a part of your breakthrough. I used every shadow to shape the strength in your voice. I used every lie to polish the power in your presence. And now the evidence of your survival will become the introduction to your supernatural promotion. Michael adds, this is not the end of your story. This is the reveal. This is where the secrets bow to the truth. This is where the pain gives birth to power. This is where the silence turns into a song of freedom. You were never broken, only buried. And heaven has now unearthed you. The light on your life will be undeniable. Not because you fought for it, but because you were faithful even when no one noticed. And now, every tear will be translated into glory. Every heartbreak will be honored with heavenly beauty. You are not just coming out, you are coming forth as gold refined by fire. God concludes with power and peace, let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them ask how you made it. And let your life speak, not in bitterness, but in blessing. Let your peace be louder than their slander. Let your elevation be the only answer you give. Because I, your God, have spoken, and no secret, no betrayal, no shadow can cancel what I have commanded. The person who trusted the wrong heart will now be trusted by heaven's heart. And that, my child, is why you are about to rise in ways even you didn't imagine. The reason you were chosen to receive this truth isn't because you're weak, it's because you're ready. Ready to hear what others would deny. Ready to carry clarity without revenge. Ready to face pain and not become it. You've grown in silence. You've bloomed in soil that tried to bury your truth. You've built strength in seasons where your worth was questioned by the very people you protected. And I, Archangel Michael, say to you now with divine authority, this truth was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to deliver you. Because where God is taking you, there can be no residue of hidden betrayal. No fragments of confusion. No lingering shadows from people who only clapped for you when it served them. You are not just moving on, you are moving up. God speaks, I allowed them to walk away so you could walk into yourself. I allowed them to lie so that you could live in truth. I allowed them to break the agreement so that I could write a better covenant over your life. Their silence was not power, it was cowardice. But your silence? Your silence was sacred. Your silence was your seed. And now, that seed is breaking the ground with force. Everything they thought would fade is now flourishing. Everything they thought you would never become is now rising in you like fire that cannot be contained. You are my chosen. And I do not waste my anointing on empty hearts. I pour it only on vessels willing to hold truth. And you, my beloved, have held more than you were ever meant to carry. So now, I release you. Michael says, let this be the chapter where you stop explaining your heart to people who couldn't even hear your silence. Let this be the moment you drop the weight of unanswered questions. You don't need the details of their deception, you need the direction of your destiny. And heaven has cleared the path. You are not who they walked away from. You are who heaven stood beside. You are not what they whispered in hidden rooms. You are what God announced in secret scrolls. And now those scrolls are being opened, and every word written about you is rising into the earth. Your reward is no longer postponed. God continues, you will be seen differently now, not by their version of your past, but by my vision for your future. I'm sending new alignments. Not connections built on convenience, but covenants built on truth. You won't need to shrink anymore. You won't have to explain why your heart is big or why your trust was sincere. I gave you that heart. I made you that way. And now I will protect it. I will preserve it. And I will surround it with people who won't. Use your light to cast shadows, but who will guard it with reverence. Because you are no longer allowed to be hidden. The season of invisible pain is over. Now begins the season of visible glory. Michael finishes this chapter with holy fire. What they did behind your back is irrelevant now. Because God is placing you in front of new gates, gates that will open without manipulation, without pretending, without compromise. Your name is being whispered in the presence of those assigned to love you correctly. And they will come, not as saviors, but as mirrors. They will reflect the truth of who you are, not the distortion others tried to project. You are rising now. And not one soul who betrayed you will be able to explain how you bloomed through fire. But heaven will know. And that's all that matters. If you believe in God, type Amen or 444 or 555 or 000 111. Subscribe for more videos.